In a far corner of the galaxy, there was a massive empire called the Zalari Empire. It was home to many strong, advanced, and powerful alien races. Their technology was older than Earth's history, and their spaceships could destroy a moon in seconds. At the center of this mighty empire lived a tiny alien girl named Princess Xeria. Xeria was different from others. She was small, very small. Her body was thin, her skin soft like silver mist, and her eyes glowed blue like stars. But don't be fooled by her appearance. Inside her small body lived a brilliant mind. She could speak hundreds of languages and control machines just by thinking. But in the Zalari world, strength was everything. Size mattered. Power mattered. And to many, Xeria looked weak. She had come of age, the time when royal children must choose a partner to rule with. Her father, Emperor Valen, was proud but worried. Many princes from powerful alien races were invited to meet her, but every single one of them said the same thing. She's too small. She looks weak. She doesn't match my power. She can't bear strong heirs. And just like that, one by one, they all rejected her. Some laughed behind her back. Others spoke cruel words to her face. She stayed quiet, but inside her heart was breaking. The Zalari people began to whisper, maybe she's cursed. She's not fit to be queen. A princess with no partner is no princess at all. Her own people turned cold. And her father? He loved her. But he was a ruler first. One day, the emperor called her into the grand hall. Thousands of aliens watched from floating seats. He spoke in a loud, clear voice, Xeria, the throne needs strength. If no one in this galaxy accepts you, then perhaps you do not belong here. She looked at her father, shocked. Her lips trembled. But I tried. I waited. I gave them everything. The emperor raised his hand. Then give them nothing. You are no longer bound to this court. Find someone who sees your worth, or never return. Gasps echoed across the hall. Xeria stood frozen, her tiny hands clenched. Then, slowly, she turned and walked away, not with tears, but with silence. That night, she entered her secret lab. Only a few knew she was also an inventor. She activated a small hidden ship, her own design. It was fast, invisible, and could travel beyond mapped space. She stood before the control panel. No one here wants me, so I'll go somewhere they don't know me. Somewhere different. She scanned unregistered planets, wild, unexplored places with primitive life. Then she paused. One name blinked on the screen. A small blue planet. No warp gates, no politics, no empires, just simple life. Earth, she whispered. She laughed slightly. No one ever talked about Earth. It was not part of any council. It had no powerful species, just humans, but that was the point. Maybe, she said softly, if the strong don't want me, the simple might. She packed a small cube. It held all her technology and memories. She wore a light silver suit and stepped into her ship. The ship rose silently from the tower, invisible to the guards. Far below, the cities of the Zalari Empire sparkled. She didn't look back. As stars passed by her window, she closed her eyes. This galaxy rejected me. But I won't give up, not yet. The ship entered hyperspeed. The journey to Earth had begun, but somewhere deep in the shadows of space, someone was watching. A dark figure opened a communication link. She's heading to Sector 9, the human world. Let her go, another voice replied. She? Find nothing there. And when she returns, she'll be even easier to crush. But they didn't know one thing. On that small blue planet, one human was about to change everything. Earth, a quiet planet, a small place in the universe. The galaxy doesn't talk about Earth. No one fears it. No one cares about it, but maybe. That's why it's special. Far away from cities and noise, in the dry deserts of New Arizona, lived a man named Jack Carter. He was not rich, not famous, Not powerful. He fixed things. Old machines, broken robots, crashed drones from failed space projects. He worked in a scrapyard alone, surrounded by junk, metal, and sandstorms. But Jack had something rare. He didn't give up. Where others saw trash, he saw possibilities. He didn't talk much. But his mind? It worked like a supercomputer. Each morning, he sat with a cup of black coffee, looked up at the stars, and whispered, "Out there, something's watching us. I don't know why, but I can feel it." No one believed him. People called him strange. But Jack didn't care. One night, the sky changed. It was quiet, still, no wind, no bugs, not even a bird. Then, a flash. Like a silent lightning bolt. A strange silver light tore across the sky, and something crashed in the nearby mountains. Jack dropped his tools and stared. That wasn't a meteor. He grabbed his bag, flashlight, and drone, and jumped into his old truck. The crash site was glowing. Soft silver light, trees bent. The sand had turned to glass. In the center was a pod, smooth, round, unlike anything on Earth, and next to it, lying on the ground, was her Zyiya. Her skin shimmered faintly. Her body barely moved. The suit she wore blinked red, injured, weak, or dying. Jack didn't run. He didn't scream. He didn't record a video. He just walked slowly, knelt beside her, and checked her pulse. "You're alive." "Barely," he whispered. She opened her eyes, glowing blue stars inside them. Her voice was weak, strange. "You are not afraid?" Jack blinked. "No, should I be?" She stared at him, confused. She had met warriors who shook in her presence, generals who bowed in fear. And here was a human, offering her water. She touched her chest and whispered a word. Suddenly, Jack's old radio crackled. Her voice came through, translated into English. "I am Xeno, Princess of the Zalari Empire." Jack scratched his head. "Okay, I'm Jack, King of Trash." She didn't understand the joke, but for the first time in days, she smiled. He took her to his workshop. It was simple: tools, wires, solar panels, a small bed. He gave her food, warm tea, and wrapped her injured hand. Xeno looked around. "No guards, no servants, no weapons? You live alone?" "Yeah," he said. "But alone doesn't mean lonely." She was surprised. "Most beings feared being alone." She asked, "Why did you help me?" He shrugged. "You were hurt." That's all I needed to know. Xeno had been rejected by hundreds of strong, smart, proud alien males. None of them had ever said that. That night, she couldn't sleep. She watched Jack fixing a broken satellite dish, humming to himself. He didn't try to impress her. He didn't ask her for powers. He didn't care who she was. He just accepted her. And that scared her more than anything. But far above Earth, something else had noticed her arrival. A dark ship. Silent, hidden. A message sent to the Empire. "She has made contact with a human." The reply was quick. "Observe. Do not interfere, yet." Back on Earth, Jack brought her a small box. "It's not much, but I thought you'd like it." Inside was a small carved figure, her. Made from scrap metal. Xeno held it carefully. No prince in the galaxy ever gave her a gift, certainly not one this simple. Or this honest. She looked at Jack for the first time. She felt something strange. Hope. Maybe this planet was small. Maybe humans were weak, but this man was different. For 3 days, the alien princess stayed in Jack Carter's scrapyard. During the day, she watched him fix old machines with his rough human hands. During the night, she stared at the sky, remembering the stars she once ruled. She didn't speak much, but she noticed everything. Jack didn't ask questions. He didn't touch her tech. He didn't push her to explain anything. He just let her breathe. And in her whole life, no one had ever done that. On the fourth morning, she stood near his workbench and said one word, "Why?" Jack looked up, wiping sweat from his brow. "Why what? Why do you treat me like a person?" He smiled. "Because that's what you are." She blinked slowly. In her world, she was treated like a trophy, a weapon, or a disappointment. But never just a person. That evening, the sun set behind the rusty metal towers of the scrapyard. Xenia held a silver sphere in her palm, her royal beacon. If she activated it, her people would come for her within hours. But if she did, Jack would know. Longer be safe. The Zalari did not trust humans. That she stood behind Jack as he repaired a broken drone. "Jack, I have to tell you the truth." He glanced back. "I figured you would eventually." She took a deep breath. "I am not just an alien. I am the only daughter of the Zalari Emperor. I was sent away, banished, because no one in the galaxy wanted me." Jack nodded slowly. "Sounds like their loss." Xenia's hands trembled. "I want you to come with me. To my world. As my guest." "My friend." There was a long silence. Then Jack asked, "And if I say no?" "I disappear. You never see me again. My people will erase every sign of me. And if I say yes," she looked into his eyes, "you enter a world of danger, power, politics, maybe even war." Jack looked up at the stars. He remembered the quiet life he had. Safe, simple, lonely. And then he looked at her. Small, glowing, brave. "All right, princess. Let's go meet your people." They prepared for the journey at night. Xenia opened her ship again, now repaired with Jack's help. He carried nothing but his old tool bag. "You sure you don't want to bring a weapon?" she asked. "I fix things," he said. "That's my weapon." She didn't argue. She just smiled, but they were not alone. Far above, in orbit, a cloaked ship hovered silently. Inside, a voice whispered, "The human is going with her." Another replied, "We can't allow that. He doesn't belong in their world." As Xenia's ship rose into the stars, silent and fast, Jack looked out the window. The earth grew smaller behind them. "You sure they're gonna like me?" "No," she said honestly. "Most will hate you." "Comforting," Jack muttered. "But," she added, "I'll be next to you." That made all the difference. Suddenly, lights flashed on the console. Xenia's face changed. "We're being followed." Behind them, a dark ship appeared. Sleek, sharp, and deadly. It fired a warning blast. "They want us to stop," she said. "Do we stop?" Jack asked. She looked at him. "They're not here to talk." The chase began. Xenia spun the ship with precision, but the enemy was fast. Jack stared at the controls. "These systems are advanced, but they're using a basic hunter AI. I might be able to blind it." "You can do that?" she asked, surprised. "I can try." Jack opened a panel, pulled out wires, rerouted power, and sent a feedback loop through the enemy ship's sensors. It worked. The enemy lost track, and Xenia's ship vanished into HFY. Silence returned inside the ship. Xenia stared at him. "You just outsmarted a galactic hunter drone." "Using scrap knowledge," Jack shrugged. "Told you, I fix things." She didn't say anything, but in her heart, something whispered, maybe he's not just different. Maybe he's the one. The stars bent around them as Xenia's ship exited hyperspace. Jack leaned forward, eyes wide. In front of them floated the capital world of the Zalari Empire, a planet wrapped in rings of light, covered in silver cities that floated in the clouds. "Welcome to Valtherus," Xenia said quietly. "This is my home." Jack had seen stars before, satellites, even Mars once, through a telescope. But nothing like this. Ships the size of cities passed them. Lights moved in patterns only machines could understand. Towers stretched from oceans into space itself. It was beautiful and terrifying. Xeria wore her royal armor now, smooth, silver, alive. It moved with her breath. Jack wore his best. A clean jacket and nervous confidence. They landed on a private platform, hidden away from the public eye. Waiting there was a tall figure in red and black armor, standing perfectly still. His eyes were sharp. His smile too calm, Prince Valor. Xeria's cousin, next in line until she returned. "Xeria," he said, "you survived, against all odds." "As always," she replied. His gaze moved to Jack. "And this is the one?" Jack gave a small wave. "Hi," Valor tilted. His head. "He's very human." They entered the palace, a place carved from crystal and starlight. Guards didn't bow to Xeria. Servants didn't speak. Eyes followed her, but not with respect, with judgment. And when they saw Jack, they whispered, "Why is she with a primitive? She must be desperate. He won't last a day." Xeria kept her head high. Jack walked beside her, silent, but noticing everything. Even the way Valor's smile never reached his eyes. That night, Jack stood on a floating balcony, looking out over the alien city. Drones flew like birds. The stars looked closer here. Valor joined him. "Beautiful, isn't it?" the prince said. "Yeah, hard to believe I'm really here," Valor chuckled. "Yes, quite hard to believe. How a human, a junk fixer, ended. Up at the side of our royal blood." Jack said nothing. "You know," Valor continued, "in our culture, strength decides worth. Power earns respect. Do you have either?" Jack looked at him calm. "No, just tools, and maybe common sense." Valor's smile cracked. "If you stay, you will be watched, tested, judged. I've been judged my whole life. Not like this," Valor whispered. Then, without warning, he walked away, but his final words echoed in the air. "She's making a mistake, and you won't survive it." Later that night, Xeria found Jack in the tech hall. He was fixing a broken alien power core, just out of curiosity. "You're not scared, are you?" she asked. "Of the palace?" He said, "Maybe a little. Of your cousin?" "Not at all," she smiled. "But it didn't last. You have to be careful, Jack. They don't want you here." "What about you?" "I didn't bring you here to impress them. I brought you here because you're the only person who ever looked at me like I was real." Silence. Then she stepped closer. "You changed something inside me. And I don't know if that's safe, but I don't want to let go of it." At the same time, in the royal war chamber, Prince Valor met with silent figures. "He must be removed," he said coldly, "before the council accepts him." One voice replied, "If you act now, should turn against you." "Then it must not look like us," Valor whispered. He turned to the shadow behind him, a tall, dark alien assassin, wearing no mark or face. "Make it look like an accident." Back in her chambers, Xeria showed Jack the royal crest. "If you wear this at the council," she said, "they must hear you. They'll hate it." "They already do," she smiled. Then her face turned serious. "Tomorrow we go before the council. You'll speak. You'll stand by me. What if they try to silence me? Then they'll see how loud a human can be." Jack nodded. But deep in the palace walls, a trap was already moving, and someone was about to make the first deadly move. The next morning, the sky above the Xelari capital turned dark. Not because of weather, but because of the ships. Hundreds of them. From every powerful species in the galaxy, they had all come for one reason: to witness the trial of the human. The council hall floated above the clouds, a giant ring of stone and light, older than most planets. Inside, beings of all shapes and colors filled the seats: long limbs, glowing eyes, armored skin, and floating minds. In the center, under a single beam of light, stood Jack Carter. No armor, no translator, no weapons. Just a simple human man in a black jacket, and Xeria standing quietly beside him, An elder voice echoed through the chamber. Let the trial begin. A creature with blue horns and glass skin floated forward. This human is weak. He has no claws, no energy field. He cannot even fly. Another alien, sharp as a blade, hissed. He does not belong in our bloodlines. He is not worthy of royal presence. A third, large and golden, growled. He is not even from our galaxy. He is an insect. The voices kept rising, accusing, mocking, laughing. Xeria stood still, her fists tight, her heart racing. But Jack just listened. Then the light shifted. The hall grew quiet. Let the human speak, the elder said. Jack stepped forward. His voice was calm, not loud but clear. You're right. Gasps, murmurs. I don't have your strength. I can't lift a ship. I don't control gravity. I can't melt steel with my hands. He looked up at them. But I do know what pain feels like. I know what it's like to be looked down on. To be told I'm not enough. He paused. Maybe that's why I understand her better than you do. He looked at Xeria. She's not weak. She's been standing alone her whole life, not because she couldn't fight, but because none of you saw her. He turned back to the council. Back on Earth, we don't choose people because they're the strongest. We choose them because they care, because they try. His voice grew firmer. You say I'm small, but maybe it takes someone small to see something big you've all missed. The hall was silent. Even the ones who hated him didn't speak. Xeria stared at him like she was seeing him for the first time. And deep in the shadows, Prince Vaylor's jaw tightened. Later, the council began private discussions. Xeria and Jack waited outside the chamber. She turned to him. You didn't fight. You didn't argue. You just spoke from your soul. Jack smiled. I figured you already have enough warriors. Maybe what you need is a mechanic. She laughed softly, then stopped. Something was wrong. A distant sound. Metal on stone. Fast. She turned, just in time. A shadow dropped from the ceiling, sharp blade in hand, moving toward Jack. Jack! But before the blade could strike, a spark flew from Jack's jacket. One of his hidden tools, a shock emitter, hit the assassin mid-air. Xeria fired a light pulse. The assassin hit the wall and fell. Stunned. Guards ran in. Vaylor followed, pretending to be surprised. An attack here? Who would dare? Xeria's voice cut through the room. Only someone who knew the schedule. Someone who wanted him silenced before a decision was made. Her eyes locked on her cousin. You planned this. Vaylor stepped back, cold smile fading. But the damage was done. Hours later, the council returned. The elder spoke. The human has passed the trial, not by power, not by birth, but by heart. Jack looked at Xeria. She took his hand. You were never small, she whispered. You were just in the wrong sky. Far above the council chamber, Prince Vaylor stared out into space, his eyes full of fire. This isn't over. It began with silence. Then ... The stars screamed. One by one, lights across the outer colonies blinked out. Communication towers shut down. Merchant fleets vanished from the trade lanes. No warning. No message. Just ... darkness. In the council chambers, emergency lights turned red. Xeria stood frozen, reading the reports. This isn't an invasion, she said. It's a coup. Jack looked at the screen. Entire systems were being taken over, and the ones leading the attacks, Xelari warships. Her own empire's flag. Flying on the enemy's side, in the center of the chaos, stood Prince Vaylor, his face now broadcast across 1,000 systems. The council has fallen to weakness. A human? Standing beside our throne? This ends now. I will restore our empire. With fire. Behind him stood dozens of alien generals, ones who had rejected Xeria. Ones who hated the idea of Change. Xeria knew what this meant. He's using me as the reason. And Jack, he's using you as the excuse. Jack nodded, jaw tight. So what now? We fight? We don't have an army, she said. We don't have a fleet. We have you, he said. And we have Earth. She hesitated. Earth isn't ready for this. Neither was I, Jack replied. But here we are. They returned to Earth in secret. In the sky, nothing had changed. Blue oceans, green forests, busy cities. But below the surface, humans were watching. The United World Government already knew Jack was gone. Now he returned. With a warning. Inside a military bunker, world leaders sat in silence as Xeria spoke. This isn't just my war. Vaylor wants control of the galaxy, and he'll crush Earth to send a message. One general asked, why? US? Why now? Xeria looked at Jack. Because Earth gave me something no other world did. A reason to fight back. Jack stepped forward. I won't lie to you, we don't have their weapons. We don't have warp drives or laser cannons. But we have something they don't understand. He looked at each of them. We have fire, not in our guns. In our hearts. We've survived extinction. We've rebuilt from ash. We fall, and we get up, again and again. And now, the galaxy needs to see what that really means. The decision was made. Earth would fight, not with armies of thousands, but with a resistance of purpose. Engineers worked beside. Alien techs. Old satellites became tracking systems. Space stations became defense posts. Jack designed the battlefield. Like a mechanic. Not a general. Traps, misdirection, guerrilla tactics. Xeria trained humans to use energy-based weapons, and across other neutral planets, whispers began to rise. The human stands with her. Maybe it's time we do too. But time was running out. Vaylor's fleet grew larger. And now, he moved toward Earth. In orbit, Earth's defenses shimmered like a web of light. Inside the main ship, the Dawn Star, Jack stood in a black jumpsuit, holding a plasma wrench instead of a gun. Xeria stood beside him in royal armor, now marked with both her symbol and Earth's flag. She looked at him. Are you scared? Terrified, Jack said, but not enough to run. They stared out at the stars. Thousands of warships approached, like a storm. This was no longer just about ZYIY. No longer just about Jack. This was about what kind of galaxy would exist tomorrow. Then the signal came in. Enemy fleet entering Earth's orbit. Jack's hands gripped the console. ZYRIY gave a single order. Defend. Everything. The war had begun, and the galaxy would remember the day a tiny princess and a human engineer stood together. The war for Earth burned through the sky, above the planet. Vaylor's warships rained down energy bolts. Human defenses responded with smart traps and scrappy tech. Old satellites became weapons. Factories became bunkers. But even with Xeria's help, the enemy was too many. Inside the Dawnstar ship, alarms screamed. Jack moved between systems, rerouting power, fixing what he could. Xeria stood in the command tower, face calm but eyes burning. They're breaking through sectors 3 and 5. We hold, she said, until the last breath. Then came the message. Vaylor's flagship has entered low orbit. He's coming down himself. Jack and Xeria looked at each other. He wants to finish this in person, Jack said. Good, Xeria whispered. So do I. They landed in the cratered valley near Earth's defense core. Smoke filled the sky. Lightning cracked across energy shields. From the enemy dropship stepped Prince Vaylor, wrapped in burning red armor. He looked around at the human structures, small, rough, and ugly. This world is a mistake, he said. Just like the creature you brought here. Xeria stepped forward. This world gave me hope, and that is weakness. She ignited her energy blade, but before she could strike, Jack stepped between them. Unarmed. Calm. You don't get to call her weak, he said. You don't get to define strength anymore, Valor laughed. And you, a mechanic in a jacket? What are you going to do? Jack looked him in the eye. What you can't. And then, Jack pulled a remote from his belt and activated the cult override. Across the field, dozens of cloaked human drones came online, all linked to one signal, Jack's ship core. You used numbers, Jack said. I used design. The drones surged forward, disrupting the battlefield, breaking enemy lines. Xeria charged. Valor fought back. Alien steel clashed with light and will. They fought in the mud, under fire and lightning. But Xeria was no longer the rejected girl. She was faster, smarter, angrier. She knocked him down. You wanted power, I wanted peace. And you lost both. But Valor had one last trick. He activated a self-destruct on his ship. A final blast, enough to destroy the valley and everyone in it. Xeria tried to stop him, but the system was locked. Only Jack understood it. Only Jack could stop it. He turned to her, smiling faintly. This is a one-seat job. No, she whispered. There has to be another way. There isn't. He pulled her hand away from the console. You saved me. Let me return the favor. She stepped back, tears in her eyes. Jack, tell your people, he said. Humans might be small, but we don't run. He looked up at her one last time, and tell them I love their queen. Then he pressed the command. The blast chamber sealed dot from the sky. The humans and aliens saw it. A massive explosion. But it didn't spread. Jack's override contained it. Controlled it. Saved them all. The war was over. The rebellion crushed. And Jack was gone. 1 week later, the galaxy watched in silence. Xeria stood in the high council hall. Her armor was black. Her voice steady. A human stood beside me when no one else did. He did not conquer worlds. He didn't carry weapons. But he changed everything. And today, I rise not as a forgotten princess, but as the queen of a new era. She raised her hand. A new banner dropped behind her throne. The sigil of the Zalari Empire, joined with the mark of Earth. Let every star remember this. Strength is not size. It is the courage to stand alone. And if one human could teach us that ... imagine what we could become together. Years passed. Peace returned. Xeria ruled with wisdom and fire. And in the palace garden, under the largest moon, a statue stood. A man in a simple jacket, a wrench in one hand. Eyes lifted toward the stars. The inscription read, Jack Carter, the first human king. He came from nothing. He fixed everything.